Hi, this is Andre. I want to talk about different types of right and left hand techniques that I use on guitar when I'm looping. Phil Clevenger commissioned this video. Thanks very much for that, Phil. Let me talk a little bit about the main instrument I'm going to be using for this. This is a Godin Exit 22. It's a totally unpretentious, bare bones, workhorse, solid body electric guitar, which is exactly what I like about it. So I'm going to be using the most straightforward, most conventional electric that I own because I want it to be clear that these are techniques that you can apply to any instrument, whether they're solid bodies, chambered, hollow bodies, whatever kind of pickups they have, that kind of thing. So there are three parts to the video. The first is going to be looking at percussion effects. The second is going to look at harmonic techniques. And the third is going to be comparing the same types of techniques on different instruments. Okay, so the first thing I should say, maybe the most important thing, is that I have long nails on my right hand. I know I've got some pretty gnarly cuticles there, so sorry about that. And when I'm looping, 95% of the time, I'm just using my fingers. And the best way I can demonstrate the difference between nails as opposed to no nails is if you listen to the thumb play some notes. That's just the fleshy part of the thumb, and then this is with the nail. So you can get a lot more definition, but you still get the body of the flesh of the thumb as well. Again, this is just the thumb. Even if I'm really smacking the string, it's still kind of a darker, rounder tone. That's with the nail, and immediately you can hear it's a much more defined sound. So when I'm doing percussive type things, the fake snare sounds are usually coming from these three fingers plucking at the same time and my left hand muting the strings. That kind of idea. If I angle this way, the pitch of the hit of the percussion sound is going to change a bit depending on where the left hand is angled. I try and hold the fingers kind of diagonally because if I hold them more parallel with the fret, it's a little easier to get distinct pitches, which if you want distinct pitches, that's great. But generally for snare type hits, I find that less of a pitch and more of just a white noise thing is preferable for me. So a lot of the snare sounds are coming from these three fingers plucking, and I would never call myself an actual classical player, but the principles of my right hand technique come from some basic ideas of classical technique, which is basically the idea that the hands are kind of flexing in from the motions kind of originating from the big knuckles there. So it's kind of pushing the string forward rather than plucking up or out with the wrist. So it's that kind of thing. Now for a lighter kick drum sound, I usually use the thumb on the bass string. So in conjunction with that and the fingers, and what I'm doing a little bit here is doing kind of fake ghost snare hits with just individual fingers, and then the 2 and the 4 snare hits are with all three. So if I do it in slow motion, it's this kind of thing. That kind of thing. If I want a deeper kick drum sound, what I usually do is switch to the neck pickup and strike the string right over the neck pickup. That thing. And I find that the combination of this location on the string and using the neck pickup gives a really deep sound, but it also has a bit of a click, kind of like the beater of a snare drum hitting the head. If I switch to the bridge pickup and play that, similar kind of thing. If I play towards the bridge, I'm on the bridge pickup now. Not as much depth really, tonally. So I'm going to fire up the Echoplex off camera here and just play some basic stuff, try to get something happening. And then one other thing that I do sometimes is use the thumbnail to scrape the side of the string. Basically the same kind of idea as a pick scrape. So basically my fake drum kit is snares, usually on the bridge pickup, I should also add, with all three of these fingers, a light kick with the thumb. Sometimes it's the fleshy part of the thumb alone, sometimes there's a nail in there as well. Also generally with the bridge pickup. If I want a deeper kick drum sound, switch to the neck pickup. Try and hit the strings right over the neck pickup. And then for a fake cuica kind of thing, using the side of the thumbnail. And if I'm really feeling fancy, then I will try to alternate a fuller snare sound with smaller ghost snare sounds using individual fingers. So now let's take a look at a couple of different techniques I use for getting harmonics out of the guitar. One of the main things I do is plucking with the ring finger and at the same time striking a harmonic with the index finger. So see if I can get a close-up. So strike with the ring finger and a split second later release the index. Now, if you're a guitar player and you've ever done a pinch harmonic, then this is a very similar kind of principle. The idea is that there are different harmonics and different overtones all along the length of the string. And when you do this kind of thing, you're basically accentuating different harmonics. I stole this directly from Jaco Pastorius. I remember seeing a performance video of him many years ago where I saw him doing this. I thought, that's awesome, I'm taking that. So this comes straight from Jaco. When I started doing this, I used the middle finger to pluck. At a certain point, I started using the ring finger instead. It feels a lot more comfortable. This feels a little stretched. The other thing is that I find that the nail on the ring finger is probably my most indestructible nail of all of them. And I find that even if they're all in good shape, I seem to be able to get a little more weight and a little more density out of the ring fingernail. Let's compare that to the middle fingernail. Not a huge difference. Like I say, a lot of it is just a comfort thing. This feels a lot better than this, for me personally. I know some guys and gals will use the thumb to actually strike the harmonic node along the string. I've never really tried that, which is why I sound so bad at it right now. So you don't absolutely have to release the index finger, but if you don't, then you're going to get a much more muffled sound. So this is me leaving the index finger on the string. After I pluck with the ring finger, this is me releasing the index. It's a very similar thing to if you've ever played natural harmonics. I'm just going to do the standard issue 12th fret harmonics here. You know, if you release the finger, you get a much more chimey, ringing sound. If you keep the fingers held down, it's a much more muffled tone. It's not better or worse, it's just a question of the kind of sound that you're after. So, as opposed to... Generally, this sort of thing, for me, works best with the bridge pickup. Let's see how it sounds using other pickups. It's okay, I guess. Having a humbucker definitely helps all the details of the harmonic jump out, as far as I'm concerned. Now, one of the really cool things about this technique that I love a lot is that if you hold down one note on the instrument, you're going to get different overtones depending on where you play along the length of the string. So this is all open string right now. And if I fret a note, I'm going to play the 10th fret. Different points along the string are going to accentuate different harmonics as well. So if I can kind of get my left hand into camera, there we go. Let me fire up the Echoplex and noodle around a little bit. Pickup selector on the bridge, pickup, Can I see both my hands? Yeah, I can see both my hands. I'm going to press the replace button with my left hand off camera. Another type of harmonic I do a lot is playing octaves, which basically means that I'll be fretting a note down here, and then exactly 12 frets higher, I'll be doing the same basic technique that I was doing, but this time the index finger, in my case, whatever finger is striking the harmonic is going to be immediately above whatever fret is 12 frets higher than what my left hand is fretting. So right now the left hand is fretting the 5th fret on the 3rd string. So in order to get the octave harmonic, the right hand is going to be way up here. The index is going to be on the same string, the 3rd string, and it's going to be an octave higher. That sort of thing. If you're not right above the fret, it's not going to sound great. So that's above the fret. If I go too far either way, okay, I take it back. It doesn't sound that bad. But it doesn't have the same definition as if you strike right over the fret. So it's that sort of thing. Again, plucking with the ring finger. The technique is basically exactly the same as when I'm doing this kind of thing, as far as the right hand technique is going. But what I'm doing here is being very specific about plucking an octave above wherever the left hand is. So that I'm getting an octave above. So let's compare a little bit. I'm going to go back and forth between playing harmonics and then actually fretting the note at the pitch that the harmonic is at. And I'm going to use the same technique with the right hand. In both cases, I'm going to pluck with the ring finger just so that I have the same kind of attack going on. So here's the harmonic, and then if I actually fret that 12 frets higher and play with the same technique with the right hand, it's a meatier, more defined sound. Whereas down here, it's kind of an airier thing. That's the harmonic, fretting the notes. Yeah, you can hear a lot more weight and definition there. Okay, so now we're going to do a bit of a science experiment. I'm going to take the 7 electric guitars that I own and use the same types of techniques that we've been looking at so far and see how those same techniques apply to different instruments. Now, there are a lot of variations as far as body type, material, scale length, pickup types with the different instruments that I have. And I'm not going to try and accommodate any of those differences. I'm going to use exactly the same setting I'm using on the amp simulator I'm plugging into. I'm going to mix each guitar part exactly the same way. So this is not me trying to get the ideal solo looping tone for each individual instrument. This is me taking the same exact setting on my amp simulator, using the same techniques with my hands, and just seeing how the same approach translates differently on different instruments. Let's see what happens. All right. So this has been a look at different right and left hand techniques I use when I'm playing guitar and looping. Thank you again very much to Phil Clevenger for commissioning this one. And thank you to everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.